record it. All right, guys. So this is our check-in meeting for our secondary business and information technology program. Today is Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. So this is our first meeting of the year. And we're actually about an hour into the meeting. We took about an hour to just kind of chat with one another, find out how things were going at different locations, and kind of share some practices and strategies, issues, all kinds of things. And what I want to do in this last part of the meeting is chat just a little bit, excuse me, about a couple of things. One would be FBLA and what we're doing with regional events and state events. Another would be our content that we have. So the resources that are being used for classes. I just want to kind of go ahead and send a little reminder out for that. And the other part would be certification testing, which we did talk about already during the first hour, but I'm going to reiterate a few things for us as well. So to begin with, I do want to let you know, today's the 6th of January, and we have split the regional events up in several, chunked out a few in each month, rather than doing a single day regional event sort of thing, just because everything is virtual this year. So last month in December, we had several events, and we used the Blackboard platform for that, and the instructions were sent, registration and all of that fun stuff. And the students and judges and everybody logged in. It actually went pretty smoothly. We had, if you remember, Nick Western, he was someone who went through FBLA, and now he's a teacher. So he was actually the one who was helping us run all of that. So we're doing the same thing this month in January, and the date for the live events taking place in January is January 27th. That's also going to be the date that pre-recorded submissions are due. So we have about 7 events that are taking place in the month of January. 4 of those will be live on the 27th, and the other 3 are pre-recorded and they're due on the 27th. Now, if your students are planning to participate, then registration is due on the 25th. And I had a chance to meet with Sandy yesterday, and all I'm waiting for right now before I send out the regional information and the link for registration, I'm just waiting for Sandy to send me the link. So as soon as I have that, then I'm going to send out an email to everyone in our region, Tidewater, for registration and all of the information on that. But just know that that's kind of the date. 25th will be the date for registration. 27th is the date for the actual event. And just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on for January, the pre-recorded events are going to be broadcast journalism, business ethics, and sales presentation. So those are going to be accepted as digital recordings, I think there are allowed to be multiple student team entries, I'm pretty sure, but I'll have all that information out when I send out the email. The other events that are going to be done live are Future Business Leader and Job Interview, Public Service Announcement, and Introduction to Social Media Strategy, which I think is the new one. So the Future Business Leader, the test part is going to be taken in February, but the interviewing part is going to take place this month. So that's kind of how they have it set up. So live events, Future Business Leader, Job Interview, Public Service Announcement, and Introduction to Social Media Strategy. Those are all the things that will take place starting at 4 o'clock on Wednesday, January 27th. Broadcast journalism, business ethics, sales presentation, those will need to be submitted by 4 o'clock on January 27th. And I think also there are some events that will be submitted and finalists will be chosen from written applications. And those are the think the scholarships, although I want to say, I think the scholarships might be going directly to state this year. So I don't even know if we're going to have a regional part. So I'll hold off on any more information on that until I've got some clarity there. But just to kind of give you a little bit of excuse me, information. We're going to be doing objective tests only. And I know I usually proctor those for the ATC in February. I think the students will be able to take these from home if they're still at home at that time, and they're just going to have to sign an honor code. And I think that's how the regional, state, and national, because I think what state is trying to follow what nationals is doing, and regional is going to want to follow what state is doing, so that things are consistent for the students as possible. We are looking at a virtual state leadership conference, so that's something that that I should have more information on as well. I'm again just kind of waiting for Sandy to shore up just a few other things. Everything's just so different this year. I know they're trying to make it as streamlined as possible. So that was part of what's going on there. But that is going to be virtual. That is something that in Virginia Beach we are supporting, and I am looking to see if there's a way that I can't cover the registration for everyone, regardless of whether they are first place or Perkins eligible or anything. Just because, like I said, I think we're going to have a little more money. We're not having to pay for buses or hotel rooms or things like that. So I'm hoping there will be enough money left in the local pot of money that we could supplement, because we do want to make sure we're supporting our students with their student organization. We also want to make sure that the student organizations are there for our kids when everything kind of gets back to that normal status. So we don't want to kill off those student organizations. They are intracurricular for us. So stuff that they're already doing, we want to make sure that this is a way that they can connect. So excuse me. So that's kind of what I got for you on the student, the FBLA for this month. And then I'll have more information for you as we move on to next month as well, about what will take place in February. And at that point, I should have more information about what will happen in April, because we'll have lots of testing taking place, I think, in February, and some more events taking place in March, and right before our state conference. So let me actually move on to the certifications next. We did have a chance to chat a little bit about this before. If you have not already received information from Anjanette Hendricks, who handles all of the testing for TCE for our office, please reach out and let me know, and I will put you in contact with her. Anybody who is here, a part of business and information technology, typically has certifications that they're teaching, at least, one class that has certifications they're teaching to. And we want to make sure that you have communication with Anjanette, because she's the one who typically organizes or schedules the proctoring for those, and orders a lot of the exam vouchers, and kind of has her hands in that pie. So she knows more about what's going on in the schools, and how to navigate some of the challenges that you may come up against, especially as we're beginning to get into that certification time at the end of this semester, and we're moving into the next one. The biggest certification exam that is being given for us in business right now is the WISE Financial Literacy Certification Exam. That is something that is offered virtually, and Anjanette should have already sent you an invitation to schedule, whether you decide you're going to swap to proctor, or you're asking for assistance in proctoring. You should have received an email from her that kind of rolls all that out for your location. If you haven't, again, let me know, and I'll make sure that I put you in touch and we get that resolved, because I know that that's coming up pretty quickly. The certification itself has not changed. The method of the students hasn't changed either. So they're still going through the WISE. It looks exactly the same. You can still monitor if you're proctoring someone else's. You can still monitor and add in that extended time and so on, the way that you always have. Really, the big difference is that you will have two videos set up. So the students will actually log into like a Zoom or a Google Meet first, and they'll have their cameras on. They do have to have their cameras on. And then from there, you'll walk them through you'll give them the link basically in the chat. And then when they click on that link, that's the only way that they're able to get into the exam. So you can still create the sessions and everything, but they won't be able to get to that session unless they have the link that you provide, and you just don't provide the link until it's time for them to take the test and they're in the room. I know that Zoom allows you to lock the Zoom room. So once they're in there, nobody else can get in. If they decide to leave, they can't get back in. And I believe, at least when I was proctoring in the summer for WISE, they were having us record the Zoom session, and they didn't ask for the recording, but it was part of what they required us to do in case there was an anomaly. So that was something that I'm sure Anjanette has the most updated information about that, but I did want to make sure I shared that. One of the big things that we did talk about earlier when it came to certification testing was the camera issue. I know a lot of teachers are still experiencing the challenge of having their students turn the cameras off, even when they're doing their own testing in the classroom. And I know Anjanette has sent this out, and it's not something that we're able to control. The students have to have the cameras on, and that is per the company that provides the certifications. And that's for business, it's really across the board. Because Certiport does most of our other certifications, and WISE does the other one. I think the only other that would be covered under business and IT would be workplace readiness. And it's the same for all three, to the best of my knowledge. They all three require that if the student is going to take the exam remotely, that their camera is on during that process. Otherwise, there's no way to validate that the proctor, what they did or didn't see, whether or not the student was cheating, all of that stuff. So, and because these are sort of like certifications that are globally recognized and industry recognized, they're not gonna just give them away. So if you find that you are having an issue at your location with students who are refusing to turn their camera on, then they simply can't sit for the certification that way. So that's just not an option for them. If that's the case, we would have to come up with a different way for them to take that certification. I believe the alternative is offering them a chance to come into your school's location and be proctored face to face. I don't have the details about how that might work. I think that's probably going to be an Anjanette question, but she is putting a video together for instructions, and I will pass that information along to her and make sure that she knows that that's a question and that will need to be addressed. I will say that having the cameras on is a mandate that came down from the district level not too terribly long ago. So it is something that your administration should have the power to enforce at this point, because it's an expectation of being in the classroom, of the students showing up to school every day, whether that's remote or in person. If they're remote, the expectation is that they do have their camera on. Now, I know that the reality is often different in the classroom. And it's really easy for me to sit here and say, well, just then they can't do it and just tell them to turn it on. But I would say your first line of response, if you are unable to get anywhere on your own, is to let them know that's, that option is off the table. If they, if they persist, then your first line of defense is going to be to go to your administration and say, hey, I'm struggling to enforce this. They are not, the company isn't going to allow them to earn the certification. We don't have any power, to get around that. So, the other options are, and then, we can fill in the blank with face-to-face proctoring, or, they can do a makeup session with Ann Jeanette, but that'll be remote, or maybe it means a phone call to the parents. I'm not sure. But again, I'll make sure that Ann Jeanette addresses that in her video. And also, you do want to make administration aware of what's going on in the classroom, because it may be as simple as them, enforcing that and letting the parent know that that these are the choices and these are the expectations when they're in the classroom. So anyway, that's that. If you are having issues with any of the testing that comes through Certiport, which would be the Microsoft or the IC3, eventually it'll be the QuickBooks certified user for those of you who are teaching accounting. If you're running into any issues with the testing there, let me know. I know that you are able to get a proctor directly through them and use their images directly, but it's a little bit tougher than it sounds, mostly because it's a really popular option. So if that's something that you're planning to do, you don't have anybody who can help with proctoring at your location, then I would suggest you go ahead and sign up for some dates now at the beginning of the new semester, because it's looking like it's about 3 weeks out, maybe even 4 weeks out, depending on the time slot. So the more popular time slots are the ones that get taken up first. So and that's something that's being offered nationwide. So you're competing for those slots, not just against other folks in our district, but other folks across the nation who have students who are testing. So, or adults who are testing, actually, for that matter. So if you're planning to use Certiport's option, which is available through June of 2021, just know that you're going to want to plan in advance for that and go ahead and sign up for those spots early. If you aren't sure how to do that, if you're uncomfortable with the process, let me know and I can help you with that. I think there's some really good information on Certiport, but I also know it's not always the easiest to navigate. So I am happy to help you with that. The last thing that I want to chat with you about are the resources. And this is the same, excuse me, as what we talked about in the fall. And that would be the resources that you have on Schoology. So I just know that because the pacing was a little bit different this year, and everybody's teaching everything from home. It's not been the same as it is when you're in the school and you can just kind of pop your head into somebody else's classroom and go, I need some help. Where did you find this? So I just want to remind and show folks where they can find information. And what I'm going to do is just run through a couple of them, starting with the econ and personal finance. So let me see if I can share my screen here real quick, because I just want to, and I'm not going to go in depth. If you want something that's, that's a little more in depth, then you can always go back and view the original video, which is recorded at the beginning of the year. So let me go ahead and share this really quick. I think it's this one. All right, so hopefully what you're looking at is the Schoology group for econ and personal finance. And really the only thing that I want to point out to you here, so if this is the first semester that you are teaching this, two things that I want to make sure that you're aware of. One is this training and updates. So if you're looking for the more in-depth version that kind of covers all of the resources and everything that you see here, and talks about lots of different things, you can go into this little folder here. It'll have that in there. There's also an update from the fall that speaks specifically to the virtual learning supports. So that might be worthwhile going into as well. The second thing that I want to highlight for you in here is the virtual learning support, which does have a pacing guide in there and some resources that are specific to the pacing guide. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to go down into your resources and pull unit information and stuff. This is just kind of a shortcut to some of those things. And of course, the pacing guide, because it's a 4x4 class this year, this is the updated pacing guide for that. But I didn't want to remove the old ones because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I do have a couple of really good resources in here, some for econ and some for the personal finance. During the conversation today, it sounds like a lot of folks had a preference for beginning with personal finance simply because they wanted to ensure they had enough time to cover all the topics, and then also to review those topics kind of inserted throughout the economics component if they needed to. So you are certainly welcome to do that. I want you to do what's going to be the easiest for you, what makes the most sense for your students. And I don't have any problem with that. So these are some options for you, and like I said, a bit of a shortcut to get you where you need to be for some of this stuff. VDOE does not, at least the last time I checked, does not have our competencies up yet. They don't have that new website or the repaired website up yet. So you might still need to come in here to get those competencies. I put the link here. It's just going to basically give you this, I think. So anyway, just something for you to have. One of the other ones, that I wanted to share with you was the digital applications class. I know the digital apps and the desktop publishing are our semester courses that don't have a certification tied to them, but they are taught as semester classes. So if you've taught the digital apps, you probably also taught the desktop publishing, or if you haven't, you're going to start with the digital apps and you'll move on to desktop publishing, both of those this semester. Excuse me. So same thing, if you look under resources, you're going to have, I tried to set these up so everything is consistent. You know where to find things. If you know where to find it in one group, you should be able to find it in a different group. So same thing with this. I just want to make sure you guys know this stuff is up here. I know that I have some middle school teachers who are teaching this digital applications for high school credit. This is kind of a replacement for the old keyboarding and keyboarding applications classes that we used to offer. And it's really important as you're looking through this, you might be struggling a little bit. It's really important that you're taking a look at this pacing guide. I'm not going to click and open these things because they take forever when I'm recording, but just make sure that you're taking a look at some of those, because these are resources that have changed since last year. They're new, and we do have direction on how to get into them, how to use them. And the pacing guide will tell you competency by competency which one is helpful in what week. So it's certainly worth taking a look if you haven't already. And again, I have those updated videos that are linked to a YouTube channel right up here. So I'm hoping that's something that you find useful. Like I said, doesn't mean you're not coming down here into those resources. Clearly the time frame is a little bit different. The pacing, the updated pacing is what you're finding in that virtual folder, but you still have lots of great information down here. So you don't want to ignore this completely. If you are struggling to find something, and that goes for any of these groups, not just for not just for those two, please let me know. I know that I have some of you who are starting accounting and advanced accounting this coming semester. And the same thing applies here. Unfortunately, we made a shift over to QuickBooks and LearnKey and Geometrics at a time when the pandemic was just kind of upon us. So there are some resources that may be new to you. And I do want you to be able to take advantage of those. So if you haven't already, if you are teaching accounting, please go through these and take a look at the update videos, especially because that's going to walk you through how to access the QuickBooks, how to access the LearnKey, and some of those other things, the knowledge matters, all that fun stuff. I've got some exam objectives up here. It's all helpful. It's all worth taking a look at it. It's worth your time. And certainly, like I said, it doesn't matter if it was one of those three, but if there's some other things that you're having issues with, or you don't have, can't find resources for, need some suggestions for, want to be paired up with somebody to get the help, please let me know. That's what I'm here for. I'm always happy to help you where I can. So other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. And if you need me, I am always happy to chat. I can meet you on Zoom, or I can talk to you on the phone, or we can email, whatever is easiest for you. But either way, I was really glad to see those of you who were able to join us today. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks, guys.